Spurs are in a bit of a weird place. Newcastle look like they're finally getting going, and Manchester City avoid defeat. Hi, I'm Wayne and welcome to Goals by the Numbers. Let's just get straight into it. So, our first match to speak about today, that being Manchester City 3, Leeds United 2. In one of those few matches where Haaland hasn't scored a goal this season, Phil Foden was able to get the ball rolling and save City towards the end. Some intricate play from City enabled Foden to score inside the first minute to put City in front. Good news. A bit of a scramble resulted in Gvardiol scoring the second for Manchester City, about a yard out. And then we get to the point where you think, okay, usually being 2 goals ahead at home after 25 minutes, you would think Manchester City are home and dry. However, post half-time, Leeds have brought on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the same one who was at Everton last season. While in control of the ball outside of the City box, Mateus Nunes gave the ball away so casually you'd think that it was like a Christmas present he was trying to re-gift. And Leeds were like, yeah, thanks mate, have you got the receipt? 2 passes later, Leeds had Calvert-Lewin on the edge of the box who miscontrolled the ball, but Nunes, being in the gifting spirit, was able to knock the ball back into Calvert-Lewin's path so he could score from about 8 yards out. 2-1, game on. Leeds then won a penalty when Gvardiol, I'm going to say tackled, but it can also be described as he launched himself into Calvert-Lewin like he was auditioning for WWE and brought him down in the box. Nemencha, the lead striker, took the penalty, which was saved by Donnarumma, but he was able to knock in the rebound, so 20 minutes to go, Leeds have restored parity. And you're thinking, Arsenal are doing well this season, City have dropped points, they've now been brought back from 2 goals behind. Then, in the 90th minute, Foden stepped around 2 Leeds players to fire the ball home from just outside the box to win the game with his left foot. The win will keep City in the title race, and it sounds of a bit of a crazy take. It is a crazy take. But I don't think that Manchester City have really gotten up to speed at this point so far this season. And this is something I believe they need to think about to ensure they can be near the top going into the final matches of the season, as the season progresses, of course. So on to our next match, that being Everton 1, Newcastle United 4. Following up on beating Manchester United with a man down, Everton came back down to earth, losing at home to Newcastle. Newcastle's first win away from home, no less. So within the first minute, Newcastle counted and Langer had an effort palmed away by Pickford for a corner. And when that resulting corner came in, Tiao, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, scored with a header. Newcastle goal went up, happy days for the fans. Newcastle scored their second goal when Miley scored with a left-footed effort, which was straight at the Everton keeper, who was also gracious enough to palm it through his own legs. The way that shot slipped through Pickford, the ball moved like it was trying to get out of something unhealthy, like, I can't do this anymore, Jordan, I need space. There are times when he does play really well, and I can remember Jordan Pickford playing for England ages ago, and I think it was against Italy, so don't quote me. And before a penalty, you could see him mouth the words, no problem, then save the resulting penalty. And then there are matches like this, and I'm reminded why I don't rate him, at all. Newcastle continued their public mugging of Everton when Langer chased down the ball he had no right to win, squared the ball to Woltemade, who calmly lofted the ball over you-know-who, to be fair, was kind of caught in no man's land, so 3-0 before half-time, this game's over, right? On a side note, how good has Woltemade been for Newcastle this season? So far, 5 goals in the Premier League, compared to Isak, who they sold, having none. And it cost essentially half of what Newcastle sold Isak to Liverpool for. That's really good business. Really good business. In the second half, that man Pickford, again, had another moment where he started to come for a Lewis Hall cross. Must have realised that he wasn't going to get the ball and probably wasn't paying attention. Tried to go back, but at that point, he was stuck in no man's land again. And Thiaw was able to head the ball back across the goal for his second of the match. Everton did pull a goal back through Dewsbury Hall. It was actually a really good goal. Where the ball was lofted in, he controlled it, took a touch, and was able to score a goal. But at that point, had Newcastle kind of switched off being 4-0 up? Who knows? The result leaves Newcastle on the same amount of points as Spurs, who they play next. As we currently have the team in 15th, only 7 points behind the team in 4th, both teams will be hoping for a win because that can propel them towards Champions League football next season. And speaking of Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur 1, Fulham 2. So within the first 7 minutes, Spurs were 2-0 down. Their results in the Premier League have been a bit all over the place this season. So clearly this was going to be another bad result, especially as it follows on from the defeat against Arsenal. Kenny Tete scored with a low deflected drive from just outside the box. Going 1-0 down isn't too much of an issue as most of the match was still to be played out. But then Fulham attacked again. Vicario came out to sweep up the attack. His clearance was poor and went to Josh King. He passed the ball back out wide to Harry Wilson, who looked up and effectively crossed the ball towards the goal from the touchline. And when looking at the goal, you can even see the Spurs back line get into position, like their goalkeeper was still in place. And he wasn't. So the ball just went straight in. And they even looked a bit confused. In the second half, as Spurs started to push, Kudos scored a volley on the hour. Spurs continued to push and eventually ran out of time, where the home fans started to boo. Spurs had more possession in this match, more shots in total, but less on target, which is ultimately what has cost them. So at this point, where does Thomas Frank go from here? He is definitely under pressure. He is a manager who is pragmatic and adapts to opponents when he plays against them. At Brentford, he utilised data. So you would have to assume at Tottenham, with more resources, he would do the same. I guess now the data would just be saying, please stop conceding so many goals. Anyway, what are our thoughts on this weekend's football so far? Is Thomas Frank going to make the season if the fans are already booing him 4 or 5 months into the season? Are Manchester City going to be able to keep up form and keep pace with Arsenal and actually make it to the last few games of the season to keep this season challenging? And Newcastle, now that they've won their first match away from home, are they going to start climbing the league and again finish in European positions? Stay tuned, we'll all find out. I'll catch you in the next one.